Now, as the ANC gears up for another election campaign leveraging its historical legacy while confronting pressing socio-economic constraints it has been responsible for in South Africa, it's a rather critical juncture with the voting polls drawing near for citizens. How will it all play out for the ruling party? Joining me now to delve deeper into the ANC's election campaign is acting editor for the Financial Mail, Natasha Marrian. Natasha, always a pleasure. Good afternoon.
Hello, Nala. Thank you for having me.
All right, Natasha, I think the ANC obviously goes into this election as, I think, the most experienced party, the party that has been everywhere, done everything that is possible for a government to do here in South Africa at a national level, at a provincial level, at a local level. But of course, this is not a cut and dry campaign for them.
No, it's not an easy one. If we look at the ANC's recent electoral history, it's been declining and declining quite quickly. The ANC dropped from 62% in 2014 to 57% in 2019, and then it dropped under 50% for the first time in 2021, down to 48%. So, if you follow the trend, this is absolutely going to be the most difficult election for the ANC so far.
With that said, Natasha, what does their own research tell them about their prospects over this election period?
So the ANC hasn't conducted new research since the January Lekgotla. They received some research indicating that they will get between 48 and 52%, but that was before the actual research was conducted before former President Jacob Zuma launched his MK party, which, as we know, might have an impact on the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal in particular.
I'm also keen to then touch on, the ANC being on the campaign trail right now. Like you're saying, not going to be an easy campaign, but with the complication of the MK party here, and exactly what kind of disruption the existence of this MK party now causes to the ANC, its prospects, its factions, and all of the dynamics within their attach.
The MK party is a lot of sound and noise at the moment, Nalu. We're seeing it in court, we're seeing it in the media every day, we're seeing protests outside courts. But if you really look at the potential for this party, it's based on one individual. As Professor Stephen Friedman told us for this piece that appears in the magazine this week, it's focusing narrowly on Zulu nationalism. And it's based on one personality in former President Jacob Zuma, racked by internal infighting. So I don't believe, and I agree with Prof. Friedman when he says that MK is not going to have as far-reaching an impact as is been made out in, for instance, polling. A recent poll had MK at 13% nationally. But if you really break down the numbers, that's virtually impossible for a party limited to the KwaZulu-Natal province. Let's take the IFP, for instance. In 2019, the IFP got 16% in KwaZulu-Natal, but 3% nationally, and that's with a footprint across the country. So it's, the numbers don't number, as Prof. Friedman says, that numbers don't make sense. So MK is going to have an impact in KwaZulu-Natal, which, yes, is an important province, but it's not going to be a massive a surge of voters going after MK. I think voters in South Africa are quite smart, savvy. They know, they can tell, they really can tell a real deal from a fake.
I also want to speak about metros here and the ANC trying to tackle these. It is a bit of a complex one here because, of course, a lot of the metros just aren't in good shape right now, are they, Tash?
Absolutely not, Nalu. Look at the city of Johannesburg. Let's leave Ekurhuleni, which just got a new mayor. It's fourth, I think, in 5 years. But look at the city of Johannesburg, which is the biggest budget, but our biggest budget city. It's had 9 mayors in 8 years, and you can absolutely see that when you drive around the city. You can absolutely feel it in the service delivery levels in the city. So you know, the metros are a very difficult space for the ANC, and it's got a large concentration of voters. Soweto, for instance, in the city of Johannesburg, is crucial, and that's why the ANC explains that it is taking President Cyril Ramaphosa, which the ANC believes is its biggest draw card, to these big metros, and basically that's where he will be centered for the duration of this campaign. I mean, the other top six leaders will fan out across smaller cities and towns, but you know, with the areas with the biggest concentration of voters will see President Ramaphosa very active there on the ground, as the ANC's head of elections explains to us.
Tash, let's talk about the Western Cape and what the ANC's plan is for that province. Have they, just given that up to the DA, or is there a fight going on there?
There is a fight. I think for the first time since the DA took over the Western Cape province, the ANC believes that it can make, not win the province outright, but they say that they can make inroads in the Western Cape, due specifically to the ANC's very supportive stance on Palestine. The Western Cape has a sizable community, Muslim community. It's the biggest in the country. And the ANC believes it can make an impact there, and also work with parties that may attract the colored vote. The ANC told us for this piece that, you know, they believe the DA is at risk of losing a sizable section of the colored vote, and they will be working with parties like the PA, for instance, potentially after the elections, if that emerges as the trend in the Western Cape. But it's wait and see. You know, it's a very unknown election. We haven't had very reliable polling, but I do know Ipsos, which is generally quite good at polling, and has been doing it for quite a while and has often gotten it right. Is coming out next week on the 27th. So we do have that to look forward to, which will give us a little bit of a sense of where things are headed. But it certainly feels, and Nalu, for this piece, I was out on the ground with following President Ramaphosa around, and it certainly feels like a different election campaign to the one in 2019, to the one in 2014 even. It feels a lot more serious. It feels a lot less aggressive and arrogant on the ANC's part. President Ramaphosa was very humble, acknowledging the party's flaws when he was on the ground. So there's definitely a recognition by the ANC that they're in trouble and they need to pull out all the stops in this campaign.
Unprecedented times indeed. Tash, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for today. That was the acting editor for the Financial Mail, Natasha Marrian.